Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be talking about how to start an FTC and what to learn and how you should exactly start to build your FTC knowledge. So the first thing I'll suggest doing is to go to your FTC knowledge page. So if you go to FTC 2022 to 2023. So the first thing I'll suggest is going to the first website and seeing the game and season materials. Here you can see the content type, the tags, and what exactly the theme is. If you see here, Power Play is a theme of the 2022 to 2023 FTC season. A lot of materials will be provided here, which include all the game manuals and including the playing field materials and manuals and the remote team resources. They also have videos and promotional materials to show and teaser videos, animations of what the actual game would look like. And they have some Q&As and some resources for you to best help your team as well. So if we go into these game manuals, the first thing that you need to do for your season is to start reading through all these game manuals. So if you see here, there's introduction, gracious professionalism, the competition, what exactly you have to do, what are the events, the scrimmages, the tournaments when they are, the team rosters, all that stuff. So if you're brand new to FTC, then you'd have to learn and read through this to understand what exactly they're looking for and um, how you have to operate an FTC. If we go back here, you can also search for your theme, the map of your theme. So if I want to see how my map's going to look, how the field is going to look, what exactly I want to do with the field, FTC, into, let's just do power play. Power play, field. So here we have a field setup and a field guide for exactly how the field is going to look. So if we see here, this is how the field is going to look for 2022 to 2023 season. Here, you'll also see all the elements that you'll be provided with and the tools needed. FTC does some really cool thing and it sells you all the things that it needs. So you can buy half of a field, a quarter of a field, or an entire field for yourself. So here are all the tools that you need and everything that would come if you wanted to actually build the field. Now, let's see this. So the game manuals, playing field materials. So this is basically how you start to get into FTC. Now you need to learn more of the coding and more of the mechanical part of FTC. So after you read through all these game manuals, and especially for your season, you read through all the manuals and you understand what's going on. You can go to you can go to you can search FTC game manual. So here, let's just go FTC game manual and game manual 0. Oh, here you have game manual. So start here. Are you a rookie team? Yeah, so you are a rookie team, right? So now useful resources, FTC Discord, being a team, right? So we went over these useful resources, right? If you want to check these out, these are the FTC resources. These are also all on this website right here. So all these useful resources you can also find over here as well. All of these are links where you can kind of click into them, read a little bit about it, and then come back out and see and just learn more about and get really used to all the big terms in FTC. That's one thing you learn in FTC is that you're going to learn a lot of new terms, a lot of big terms that you didn't know before. So by looking through all these links, you can understand what like drivetrains are, pulleys are, or how gears work, how servos work, how motors work, what different types of brands are, like Go Builda or AndyMark. All these different concepts you'll understand as well. So it's here useful resources. Now we go to hardware. So here's where it becomes more specific. Here you can see there's drivetrains, power transmission, linear motion. So all of these things are all concepts that you're going to need to learn to start working in FTC and to start understanding how to really thrive in FTC. Now let's go to programming. So in programming, there's many options for programming. So let's go just click into here. So there's block programming, which I'll show as later as well. Then there's also um, there's Java, there's on-bot Java programming, there's Android Studio programming, and other programming languages as well. So Kotlin is kind of like a mix of both Java and the block programming. So it's a little bit easier than Java and a little bit harder than blocks. So how I would suggest for you to start off is to work with blocks with the simulators first. So if you check out, there's FTC simulators online where you could use blocks and simulate a robot that's online and see how it works. You can then directly transfer that and make it into a on-bot Java code, or you can go to Kotlin and use that code. So this more you understand the fundamentals of it, then the more you understand in Java, and the easier it will be for you to navigate around the programming area. Now, there's a few things that you need to get to start FTC, or to start a team, or that you need to program FTC as well. So the first thing that you need is one of these Rev control hubs. So these control hubs are what go on the robot. So when you have a robot, if you see there's a bunch of plugins into the thing. So these are where all the motors would go. This is where all the servos would go. This is where the battery pack is, and where the on switch goes. So this is the control hub where everything's connected. Now this control hub is connected to a driver hub. So this is a rev driver hub. So if we just power this on, so it's a Rev Robotics driver hub. So this is something that connects to the control hub. Now when these two connect, you can the way that it works is you transfer code into the driver hub, and then the driver hub transfers code into the control hub. So it goes from your computer to the driver hub to the control hub. Now this is not necessarily the only driver hub there is. You could use Android phones as well, which also use as driver hubs, but these are the more new version of driver hubs. And here you'll see here, and um, you'll come to this page, and you'll see there's an FTC driver station up here. So if you click on there, this is where you'll actually initialize your programs and start your programs from. So let's just say if we turned the robot on, let's just show how it looks. So while this is turning on, let's explain what you'll need to actually program your robot. So the first thing that you need is the Rev hardware client. So the Rev hardware client is something that you use, as I said before, which is used for you to transfer the robot to the code, and then to the driver hub, and then that code is then transferred to the control hub. So so you'll need a Rev hardware client. So what you can do in this, right? So there's no hardware detected right now currently, but you would upload your code into this, and then your code, you could initialize it straight to the driver hub. The driver hub would then take it straight to the control hub, and then you could play it on the driver hub. Um, you'd also need Android Studio. So Android Studio is where you actually build the code, where you actually write the code. Now, in Android Studio, I would suggest downloading the FTC SDK. So if you go to the website, you search up FTC SDK. You can download it as a zip file, unzip it, uncompress it, and then you can import it into Android Studio. So in Android Studio, if you go to FTC Robot Controller (SRC) and you go to Java External, there's a bunch of sample code for you to try out. For example, if I'm starting out and I just want to learn what a basic op mode is, I go straight here, and the comments have an explanation of everything you need for basic op mode. So the comments will tell you exactly what's happening, and this is kind of this is like a backup code. So and like a kind of like a like the first building block. So they'll tell you exactly what you're supposed to do, and then you from here you can go to writing your own code. So you can mess around with this. You can add different variables, add different loops, for loops, everything like that. And you can see and you can really understand the code from this area because the comments will explain to you what everything means. After you understand a lot of this stuff, then you can start writing your code by yourself. So let's so this is exactly where the code is. So you need Android Studio and and Rev Control and the Rev hardware client, which put the links to both of these where you can download them as well as all these game manuals. I'll post those in the description. And as you can see here, the driver hub is now on, as well as the control hub is now on. So now what I can do is let's just show this a little bit. Let's just show how this works. So what I can do now, right, is I can connect the motors to the control hub. So if you can see here, there's a motor connected to the control hub, which is right here. So this motor will now spin. And what also you would need for this is also you need a controller. So for example, these controllers are not very expensive. They're just like $10-15 at max. But these controllers, they're like Logitech controllers. You can use Xbox controllers. You can use wireless controllers as well. They are used to actually control your robot. So you would plug this into USB 2.0 here, and now you have everything ready. So you have your controller, you have your driver hub, control hub with plugged into your battery pack, as well as something connected to your control hub, which in this case is a motor. Now, if I can just use this for a second. So now, if I want to initialize a teleop program, which is something where I can control with my with my um, with my controller, I could go to this and click on motor drive, which I have a program here. I want to initialize it. So you'll go here. You'll see here. So you want to press initialize and then start. So now when it starts, I've programmed this to turn. I programmed this motor to turn when I go forward, backward, forward, and it'll slowly increase the speed by how much I push this forward. So for example, if you see here, if I push this just a little forward, it'll only move a little bit. If I went full forward, then it'll move a lot. So this is how you start getting familiar with all the coding. So how as I said before, you start off with downloading Android Studio, downloading Rev hardware client, which I'll link in the description, as well as reading through all the game manuals and really understanding all the concepts of programming. In the Rev hardware client, you can also use blocks programming to start out, which is also a very good idea. So you get the concepts and everything familiar with yourself. Then you can start working on it with the actual code. I would also suggest working with the FTC SDK, which also gives you a lot of experience before you start with the actual code. I'll also link a FTC simulator where it gives you like real time blocks and real time things like English only, and you can use that to control a robot. So if you don't have a control hub or a driver hub or a controller or the battery pack, you could always use an online simulator, which I will also link in the description. So thank you for watching, and I will be posting another video about how to work with the motors and servos in a bit. Thank you.